Yo.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Into the Pit. I'm Dr. Gutts.
I'm Hellhound.
And today, as we've been building up to for a little bit now in our last video and also in Hellhound's review of Spreading the Disease, we're going to talk about an incredible concert we went to, on Sunday?
Sunday, yeah.
And that was Slayer's final tour. We're in the shirt right here. As you can see, we have Testament, Behemoth, Anthrax, Lamb of God, and Slayer. If that's not a lineup, I don't know what is. Now, I've seen a lot of concerts, and I mean a lot of concerts. A lot of amazing concerts. I've been to Maryland Death Fest several times. I mean, I've seen a lot of really good shows, and this one somehow manages to top them all. It's 5 of like my top 15 bands of all time in one show, and I know you've been dying to talk about it, so let's just crack right into it. I mean, we pulled up. We had two cars of people.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I had a lot of friends.
We pull up and instantly park, get out of the car, and there's this huge area of people tailgating, just blaring like metal from like Slipknot to Iron Maiden to Judas Priest, just anything, just blaring, and barbecues going on, and we knew right away we were with our people.
Yeah, I love that whole atmosphere. Just a sea of black shirts. Everybody's wearing like a Slayer shirt or an Iron Maiden shirt. Everybody's doing this. Everybody's got long ass hair or a completely shaved head, and I just love that. I love being in that environment. It's just wonderful. And yeah, as he said, this is the best show I've ever seen as well, like by far. It was my second time seeing Slayer. Back, my first time was 10 years ago, before Jeff Hanneman died. Back when they had Dave Lombardo, and I gotta say, this show might have been was probably even better. This performance, I mean, from Slayer is probably even better than that one. So yeah, it was mind blowing.
It's crazy because this is my 5th time seeing Slayer, and I feel like every time that I've seen them, they've put on a better show, which is saying a lot because the first show I saw was amazing, and the second show I saw was even better, and then it just kept elevating and elevating, and now it's just this different plateau that other bands just can't achieve.
Because Tom Araya actually did the opening scream in Angel of Death.
Yeah, that was
they figured it's their
that was the first time that I've seen that. This is my 5th time seeing him. Yeah. The first time I've heard him do the actual Angel of Death.
I've seen a lot of recent live videos. He hardly ever does it anymore. But I guess they figured it's their farewell tour. He's got to do that and start doing that again.
But
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Let's start with each band in order that they came on, starting with Testament.
Yep.
Talk a little about each performance.
As he said, the first band that we got was Testament. That's insane. If a show's opening up with Testament, you know you're in for a wild ride. And I mean, not only is this Testament, this is like 2018 supergroup Testament. This is
Steve DiGiorgio and Gene Hoglan with freaking Alex Skolnick. I mean, is there
the rhythm section from Individual Thought Patterns mixed with Chuck Billy, Eric Pearson, and Alex Skolnick. That's crazy, and it was really good. I think I told you. I told you before the show. This is my first time seeing Gene Hoglan live. I was actually wrong.
And Steve DiGiorgio.
As one of our friends reminded me, I've seen Death Clock live, and he plays drums for them.
Yeah, that's right.
So technically, I've seen him twice, but one time it was like a cartoon. Anyways,
he's incredible. Yeah,
he's my favorite drummer of all time.
He's my second favorite next to Dave Lombardo.
Anytime I get to see Gene Hoglan, I'm super excited.
Just DiGiorgio, they're both virtuosos. They're both like the best at what they do. It's just like incredible.
Absolutely,
it's amazing. And Chuck Billy is my second favorite thrash metal vocalist of all time, next to Joey Belladonna, who we'll get to here in a minute. And Alex Skolnick is one of my favorite thrash metal guitarists, right there with Marty Friedman and Gary Holt, who we'll also get to here in a minute. So
I think Chuck Billy may have graduated to my favorite thrash metal vocalist.
It's a close one.
Especially after this performance. It's 2018. They formed in beginning of the 80s.
Early 80s.
And
with Steve Souza.
He literally sounds the same.
Yeah. Yeah,
mind blowing.
His vocals are he's very diverse. He can do like the really lows and the highs, and he did that high pitched scream. They played the preacher. He did the follow the preacher. He did it perfectly. It sounded almost just like on the album.
Because I had assumed that because they're new albums, he took a more raspy approach. That it was because he had aged, wasn't able to do the higher pitch. I was wrong.
He can still do it. He still got those pipes.
Half of the songs they played were from the New Order, which is my favorite Testament album.
Mine too.
And sounded like the album.
It was like all New Order
incredible.
and their newest one.
Yeah, it was like 2 songs from Brotherhood of the Snake, 1 from Dark Reach of the Earth, and the rest of them were from New Order.
New Order, yeah.
Which
amazing.
I'm not going to complain about.
They played Into the Pit, the way, when they introduced it, I was just like, I got so pumped. And I love the opening riff on the Preacher, the do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And I started filming, like, when I filmed that part of it. I didn't want to film the whole concert, because I feel like if I do that, I'm kind of missing the concert. You watch with your eyes, not with your phone.
See, and, I'm a eye person. I don't do the whole phone camera thing.
But I just filmed like a little bit of it just to have something to remember. But yeah, Alex Skolnick, seeing his guitar playing live in person is so much better than seeing a video of it.
You know, was better guitar playing than Alex Skolnick at the show. The better guitar playing than Alex Skolnick at the show was Chuck Billy's air guitar playing.
Yeah, I love how he does it. Picks up the mic stand.
The mic stand.
Because he actually started out as a guitarist. Not many people know that. And when he joined Testament, said, "Okay, you're going to be," or I guess, or no, it was another band. And then when he joined Legacy, which became Testament, Steve Souza introduced it. Before that, he was a guitarist. They said he joined the band. They said, "Okay, you're going to be our singer." He was like, "Okay," and that's how he became a vocalist. He still does the air guitar thing,
but which
is awesome. He's great.
Every part where he wasn't singing, he would step up to the side and let the guitarist take front and center, and he'd be playing air guitar with his mic stand. And like there
was a couple times when I was watching, and I actually thought that he was one of the guitarists. Like a couple times for like a split second, I was like, "Oh, 3 guitar. Oh, that's Chuck Billy."
and Chuck Billy's super cool. The entire show, he was throwing guitar picks out into the crowd.
Yeah.
And
I wish we could have been in the pit.
There was
some of them.
There was one part where he pulled one of his wristbands off, and he pointed at this little kid who was on top of his dad's shoulders, and held up the wristband and threw it out. Somebody else grabbed it, and he pointed at the kid and made the guy give it to the kid. And then the rest of the show, this kid had this big Testament wristband on and was sitting on top of his dad's shoulders with the devil horns up.
Man.
It was really cool to see.
Right.
It was really cool to see.
Off to a good start.
And I mean, like I said, Testament killed it. Their stage presence was incredible.
Oh, phenomenal.
They were all over the place, especially Chuck Billy was all over the place.
He really knows how to work a crowd.
Steve DiGiorgio, his backing vocals were incredible.
Yeah.
He was looking almost death metal.
Phenomenal bass playing.
His bass playing with his fretless bass, which is always weird to see, but it's awesome.
He's just like he plays it like a lead guitarist.
And he was running around, he was hair spinning. I mean, it was brilliant. And I can honestly say Alex Skolnick is the most effortless lead player I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, oh god. It makes it look easy.
It was mind-blowing. It was like everything was just like silk. It was so smooth. It was really, really good.
He was like the youngest member of the band too. He joined when he was like I think 16. And like he was already better than like almost every other thrash metal guitarist like at the time, and probably still to this day. He's got such chops. He's just like phenomenal. And he's just oozing his own charisma. He's working through the fretwork while Chuck Billy's running around the stage. I was just in heaven seeing this before my eyes. And what happened was I actually purchased my ticket, and I had seats a little farther back, but I was more in the center, like in the stage in front. And then what happened was one of our friends got there kind of late, and he actually had an extra ticket, so then I was able to sit with them. They were a lot closer. And when I saw Testament, I was a little farther away. But every other band, I was close with them.
Yeah,
we were very close.
We
to the
were
stage.
right up on it.
I feel like I could feel like a little bit of Kerry King's sweat dripping on me. That's how close we were. Not really, but figuratively speaking. But yeah, when I moved up with them for the rest of the show, that's why I got Chuck Billy confused with one of the guitarists a couple times because I was so far away. Because the mic stand actually looked like a guitar that far back.
But yeah, I mean, Testament killed it. And when you have a show with that strong of an opening, you know you're in for something.
Treat, yeah.
It leaves you thinking, wow, how can anything top that? Well, then Behemoth came on.
Behemoth came and wow. Nurgle was evil as hell. Like, just deliciously blasphemous and, pentagrams everywhere, the whole... It was interesting seeing, like, a black death metal band, among, like, thrash bands, It was
and they were the only non-American band on the tour as well.
That too.
As they're from Poland. And of course, Behemoth is still their standard lineup. They have their core 3 members of Nurgle, Inferno, and Orion, and then they have their live player they've had forever now, Seth. So it's the same lineup they've had for a while, and these guys...
Some of their best albums in that lineup.
They're on it. They're completely on it. I feel as though, and I was just telling him before this, Behemoth is like the only band I could think of where every album they put out is better than the previous album. I can't think of any other band that does that. A lot of bands, their first or second album is their best album. For Behemoth, their newest album is their best album, in my opinion. And I think before that, the album before that was their best album. And I think that they've kind of just progressed and grown. And I
like
think
the Apostasy a lot.
yeah, I love the Apostasy, and I think
she was one of the earlier ones.
I think that Behemoth really came into their own around Demigod or just before. I think it's when they really became like Behemoth, because before they were doing the more just pure black metal, and then around Behemoth, slightly before Behemoth, is when they really found that black and death metal like unique sound that only they have. And this was my 5th time seeing Behemoth, and it was the best. It was phenomenal. The theatrics were incredible. They had this stage set up,
Great stage presence.
where there was the mic stands all had like different symbols on them. The mic stands for Orion and Seth both had sigils of Lucifer on them, and then the one for Nurgle had that new soul alchemy symbol they're using, where it's the triangle with the swords and the fire, had that on it.
I think it was like a Baphomet
And
looking thing.
no, it was the alchemy soul symbol they've been
yeah,
using.
yeah.
But it's got like the circle, the triangle, the swords, the fire coming through, and that was one of Nurgle's mix. And it had 2 snakes coming up around it too, which is pretty cool looking. And then behind that, off to the side, they had these staircases going up with some symbols hanging from those as well. And I believe those are both sigils of Lucifer as well.
Probably.
And when it started out, Inferno comes up on the drum set, and then Orion and Seth come up from the sides, and they walk up the staircases, and they're just looking incredibly evil, and just stand there, just looking down, just menacing. Nurgle walks out into the middle, and then a Fire in the Void starts, and it was just mind-blowing. I was completely blown away. The set they played was incredible as well. They played a lot from the Satanists. They played A Fire in the Void. They did play a song from Satanica, which is pretty cool to see.
Wolves of Siberia, which...
They played their new song, Wolves of Siberia. So, when that was happening, Nurgle, is saying, hey, here's our new song. It's called Wolves of Siberia. He's all hyped up. And right when he's about to start, this robotic voice comes over the speakers.
Nurgle, we're going to celebrate your fucking birthday.
And you could see the shock on his face.
Randy Blythe and
Carrie
King and a few others.
Yeah, it was Randy Blythe, Carrie King. Who else? It was a bunch of people from the other bands came out there, and they all did shots with him and stuff. And he was blown away. And then we sang Happy Birthday
the whole
to
audience
him.
sang Happy Birthday to
with
him.
Randy Blythe had the mic,
singing, yeah.
and he was singing, and we were all singing Happy Birthday to Nurgle. And it was really cool. It was a cool experience.
And he wrote about it. He wrote a blog about it.
Yeah, I saw that on his Facebook page. He wrote a little thing about it, like a little excerpt about it.
That was so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I've never been to.
What are the odds that we were there on Nurgle's birthday?
Right?
Like that's.
I've never been to a show where we sang Happy Birthday.
Yeah, me either. That's awesome. I think Carrie King just had a birthday recently too. So they probably did something similar.
That was super cool.
Location.
And of course they closed with the epic "O Father, O Satan, O Son," the closer for the Satanist. And about halfway through the song, they kind of went off the stage with feedback playing and came back with those weird like goat masks on,
black masks,
and just stood back and played the remainder of the song until it was over.
Yeah,
it was
so
just
malevolent.
Yeah,
so eerie.
it was menacing. It was pure evil, and it was one of the highlights of the night for me.
Absolutely, they put on a hell of a show. Like,
yeah,
wow.
I would say every performance of this show was a 10 out of 10 for me.
Me too.
Behemoth was a notch above everyone else besides Slayer.
Except for Slayer, that might have been like the second best performance, and they're not even my second favorite band that played, which is saying something.
They were my second favorite band that played, but that performance was on point regardless.
It was flawless. Yeah. And they're a band who I think they blend black metal and death metal perfectly, better than anybody else. Belphegor does a really good job too, but I think Behemoth is like the ultimate
they knock it out of the
black
park.
and death metal band for sure.
Like Belphegor is all right, but Behemoth is like
they
the
do
pinnacle.
better than anybody else, I think.
Yeah, and
they slay. They were amazing.
And the next band to go on was the almighty Anthrax.
My second favorite band.
I know you have a lot to say about this. I'm gonna let you kind of take the floor for this one.
Well, as I said, Chuck Billy. I mean, oh my God. Why do I keep saying
the
these
singer
things?
of Anthrax?
Joey Belladonna is my favorite thrash metal vocals of all time, and I think the Anthrax has the best vocals of the Big Four and any other thrash band. And the thing is, it makes him unique because he's not really like a typical metal vocalist per se. He's a little. I talked about this a little bit in my Spreading the Disease review, but he's a little more classically trained. He wasn't a metalhead when he joined the band. Neil Turbin, who preceded him, actually, just going to give a brief history. Neil Turbin had a more metal voice, and he hit all those high notes too. But I think Joe Belladonna was much better, and like he actually fit in really well with thrash metal, surprisingly, even though he has a totally different vocal style. I think that makes him unique, is most thrash metal singers, there's most people. When you think of thrash metal, you think of like the James Hetfields and the Tom Arayas and stuff like that, a little more like gruff and a little more, like deep and
a little more
a little more like dirty sounding, a little more harsh sounding. But Joey Belladonna, he hits those high notes, those soaring. He's got his vocal acrobatics are incredible, and I think he's still just as good now as he was in the '80s. His tenor, like his range, has gotten a little lower. He has a little more of a lower register now, meaning he can actually sing all the John Bush songs effortlessly. But
he could, but
he could, but he shouldn't.
Real quick, let me interject on that.
Yeah.
This was my second time seeing Anthrax. The first time I saw them was when he just came back into the band for worship music, and his voice did not sound great.
Yeah.
It was
probably a little
very
out of practice,
raspy.
maybe,
I think he was definitely out of practice. At this show, my God, his vocals were top notch.
He's got such pipes. He's got such great shots.
It was mind blowing when I heard him come out, and he was just running around stage, one of his little leap kicks across the stage, and running over around the speakers to the side stage where we're at, kind of like playing up the crowd, hemming it up, and like Joey's back.
Yeah,
Joey's back in a big bad way.
He is the one true singer for Anthrax. I don't care what anybody says. And they have such great stage energy. Like, it's so infectious. Watching them just gets you pumped. How can you... There's no way you can just sit there and watch when they're just running around the stage. It just gets you really into it.
Well, especially because Scotty and Frank Bello won't let you.
Oh, yeah. Scotty and Frank Bello were all over the place. Like, they started on the right side of the stage, and, like, then they were like, on the left side of the stage. Like, how'd they even get there? Like, they just got there so fast. And, yeah. But, like...
a pup coming to hang out now.
Yeah, just to talk about the concert as well. Such wild stage energy, and like they're just jumping around. Scotty Ian talks to the audience a lot. He's like one of the only musicians I've seen that isn't a vocalist who talks to the audience and does like the in between banter, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because he is Anthrax. I mean, he's the man. He's the man. He's when you think of Anthrax, you think of Scotty Ian. It's his band. But I love Joey. I'm so glad he's back. John Denias is their current lead guitarist, and he's really good.
He fits right in.
He does.
He's very young, and a lot younger than they are, but he fits right into the band.
I think that go on. I think that he's probably my second favorite lead guitarist they've had next to Dan Spitz, who I wish I could have seen Anthrax with Dan Spitz.
Yeah, that'd be killer.
But John Denias does a really good job. Rod Caggiano and Paul Crook were good too, but I think John Denias fits in the band a little better. And something about him and Belladonna on stage together, like they have this chemistry, which I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like there's almost like a parallel. They do really good. I heard early on that Charlie Benante wasn't going to be there, and that Gene Hoglan was filling in. As much as I love Gene Hoglan, I was kind of let down. I was disappointed because I was like, well, I want to see Anthrax with Charlie.
Yeah, something about like some arthritis problems.
He's been on all their that would have sucked. He's been on all their studio albums, and he's like probably the second most recurring member next to Scott Ian. And he was there. Charlie Benante was there behind the kit doing his beats.
Sounded super precise.
You would have never guessed that he was having health problems.
Yeah, no, he was
freaking
incredibly clean.
Great drummer.
Absolutely, and they kind of played a mixture of Among the Living and Spring Disease, and they did
one song off their newest album,
Evil Twin. They did that, and they did both their big covers, Got the Time and Antisocial. And I think that was pretty much what they did. I really was wanting them to play Gung Ho, but that
I would have loved to see them play The Enemy.
They
didn't even play Among the Living.
Yeah, they didn't play Among the Living.
I would have loved to see I'm the Man.
Yeah, they opened up the Call to Mosh, so that was incredible.
Yeah, that's a great song to open up with,
absolutely.
for sure. And they really had the mosh pit going like it was nobody's business. No other band that night had the pit going as well as they did.
During the last song of the night was Indians, which is my personal favorite Anthrax song. It has the best thrash break ever. Yeah, no, he wore like a 80s looking hat.
That's okay though. That's still awesome.
But during the War Dance thrash break part, he was talking about how he wants to see everybody move and all this stuff right before it, and it kicked in, hit the War Dance, and everyone was moshing. Everybody was going crazy. People in the stands were going crazy. People in the pit were going crazy. For about 2 seconds.
Devil horns everywhere, just a sea of devil horns.
For about 2 seconds. Then they stopped it. Because it wasn't crazy enough.
Yeah, and then Scotty had to go to the mic.
And Scotty go to the mic and talk some trash. He said it was good, but not good enough. And he was like, he's like, you guys in the stands need to move. He's like, if you can't do a pit, he's like, do one of these moves.
Yeah, he's like, if you're sitting in the seat, I understand, but at least do something, move
and then
around.
Everybody, I panned across the crowd, and everybody was doing this. It was the funniest thing ever.
They're a bunch of fun-loving guys, more humorous and lighthearted than some of their peers, and like you can tell they don't take themselves like too seriously, which is good.
It was a really good time.
They know how to have fun. Yeah, that stage energy, Scotty Ian and Frank Bello jumping around, and Joey, he came on. We were on the left side of the stage, and he actually came and said, "Hey, what's going on over here, guys? What's going on here on the left?" I swear he looked right at me when he said that, because I went like this, and then he did too, and I was like, "Yes!" I was giggling like a giddy schoolgirl when that happened, and yeah, it was just so great seeing all of them in person for the first time. My first time seeing Anthrax, and they killed it. They just absolutely killed it. There's a lot of songs I would have loved to see them play that they didn't, but they only had a 30-minute set list, so I agree with the ones they went with.
Yeah, it was very good.
I expected them to play Breathing Lightning and Monster at the end from their newest album.
You Gotta Believe.
The only one that did was Evil Twin. Yeah. I appreciate that they wanted to play most of the classics, though.
It was very good.
Absolutely.
And the next band up was a band that I have been wanting to see for as long as I can remember. A band that helped the bridge to metal for me. For me, back in the day, I used to listen to, Kiss, Skid Row, things like that. And then, sometime in elementary school, found Slipknot and early Lamb of God, and it really,
they were one of my gateway bands as well. When I was like 14, I listened to a lot of Lamb of God. I listened to New American Gospel and As the Palaces Burn. I remember when Ashes of the Lake and Sacrament first came out. And I was a pretty big fan
I've stuck with them for a long time. Slipknot as well, like I mentioned before. I've loved both those bands forever. I've seen Slipknot 3 times, I think, and I've never seen Lamb of God. It's kind of insane. I've been wanting to see them forever, and I haven't had the chance to. Until now. And it was worth the wait.
They put on a great show.
They put on an incredible show.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. It was one of the things like, oh man, that after that band, how could this next band top them? And the next band somehow just puts on this insane show.
Yeah, it was better and better,
mind blowing.
They were the co-headliner too.
Yep, they're the co-headliner, and wow,
the second biggest set next to Slayer. Yeah, I'm not even like the biggest Lamb of God fan. I used to be.
Oh, I am.
But they put. I gotta admit, they put on a hell of a show.
Yeah.
Randy Blythe's a great frontman. He knows how to work a crowd. He has great stage energy, just like Anthrax did. Chris Adler's a phenomenal drummer. And who are the guitarists? Is it Willie Adler and Mark Morton? Mm-hmm. They were really good. Everybody was really good.
John Campbell on bass.
Yeah, that's right. And as I said, I'm not like a huge Lamb of God fan, but I gotta admit they put on a hell of a show and they got me pumped. I loved watching them. They when they played "Laid to Rest," I thought that was gonna be their closing song, and I was like, oh, they're not gonna play "Redneck" from Sacrament, but then they did. I was like, yes, it's complete. My life is complete.
It was very good.
Yeah, "Walk with Me in Hell."
The way they
you got something to die for.
The way that their set opened up was one of the coolest things that I've ever seen. Like basically everything was just dark, and then some static started going. And then the first line from that opening little monologue into Omerta happens, and then stops, and some more static, and the next line. And it did that until the last 2 lines, and it played them in full. And then, as those are playing, the band's walking on the stage.
Each of the members came on like one by one, and then
the
Randy
crowd
shows up with his
insane.
dreadlocks, and everybody's just screaming.
Stands up on his riser and just drops this insane, like death wail of a scream. And his vocals live, my God. His vocals live are something else. Like, they were something to behold. And they're one of those bands you have to see live, and now I understand why. Absolutely. They put on the craziest show. The light show is incredible. Their stage is really cool. It was like a set of black and white and mirrored stairs going up.
The Lamb of God logo, and the little thing with the LO.
And then a big drum riser with the Lamb of God logo on it, which was a very high riser, which is obviously for Randy to jump off of, if you've ever seen their videos, which he did quite a lot. And it was just phenomenal. They played...
It was very good.
One song they played that I was not ready for was Black and the Cursed Sun. Blew my mind. The opening just tremolo picked note happened, and I freaked out. Me and a few friends kind of just like locked eyes and started like losing our minds. And of course, everybody's just singing along with the words. Everybody's going insane. They played 2 songs off of their new album, Sturm und Drang. They played 512 and Engage the Fear Machine, which are both incredible. Other than that, they played a lot of Sacrament, Ashes of the Wake, and see what else did they play? Oh, they played Ruin as well, which was killer live. Overall, they put on one of the most insane performances I've ever seen. Super active. Every member of the band was sprinting
Very
around,
energetic
jumping off
and-
of things.
Yeah.
It was really, really, really good.
Chris Adler was just going nuts on the drums. Whether you like Lamb of God or not, I think you have to admit Chris Adler's a great drummer. Every drummer I've ever worked with always cited him as like one of their main influences and inspirations. Like every drummer I know loves Lamb of God because of Chris Adler.
But yeah,
And, seeing him live was incredible.
it was so intense. After they were done, I had to sit down and take a breather. I was just like, wow, okay, because I'm jumping around, going insane, and screaming top of my lungs. My voice still isn't fully back.
My neck is still sore from
yeah.
the headbanging I did.
So good.
And when they did Redneck, when he did the just one time, I was screaming along with the lyrics. I screamed so hard, I thought I was going to get a nose.
Yeah,
my voice was gone.
The crowd was almost on par with the music.
Yeah, for sure.
It was pretty insane.
I think the best song he sang was the Happy Birthday Nurgle.
Yeah,
so I think that was his best.
That was
Which is so awesome. Which is so cool.
And that leads us to the headliner of the night. The reason we're all there, the reason this tour is happening, the almighty, the gods of thrash metal themselves, Slayer.
Second time seeing
This
them.
is my 5th time seeing
Boy,
Slayer.
was it well worth the wait.
Yeah, it. Oh,
And
wow.
the drive.
It was crazy. Gary Holt. All right, so real quick, we know it's not the classic lineup.
Jeff Hanneman.
Let's get that out of the way.
Passed away. Dave Lombardo left for the third time.
The 85th time.
Yeah, Paul Bostaff is back for the 85th
time.
And they got Gary Holt from Exodus, who I think fits in with the band perfectly.
Gary Holt's my favorite guitar player of all time.
Yeah.
Period. Point blank. Period.
One of my favorites.
He's my
as
favorite
well.
guitar player of all time. He could be in any band. I don't give a shit. It's cool. It's cool.
He'd make any band good.
Slayer, he fits right in. He works completely well with them.
Very well.
This is the 3rd time I've seen them with Gary, and he's a monster.
And he forced it. He like talked them into playing. He talks them into playing Hellhound
Hellhound, yeah.
And he was wearing a shirt that said on the back. I'm pretty sure it said Holt
It
Awaits,
did.
which
I
is
found
awesome.
the shirt. It said Holt Awaits.
So they had
yeah.
a bunch of Exodus stuff all over him too. But
Yeah, it was really cool. So now that's out of the way. Wow.
yeah,
This. I have seen a lot of show in my day. This was next level. This was a transcendent experience.
I've seen my favorite band, Black Sabbath, live, and that was incredible. But this was like on a whole other level.
It was on a different plane
Slayer knows how to put on a
from
fucking
anything
show.
I've ever seen. On a completely different plane. Like, not even playing the same ball game. It was wild. Their stage setup was immaculate.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Slayer things everywhere, pentagrams everywhere,
Well, I think
fire
there was like a
everywhere.
mashup between some of the other bands. I saw like the Christ Illusion.
Yep.
Like that cover was meshed in. I think they're Repentless and some of their other ones.
They had
Which is
massive
cool.
banners in the back of the stage that he's speaking on.
Yeah.
That actually, when the lights went out, they had color pops and like it's glow in the dark, like crazy colors. Like the blood would be like lit up bright red, and stuff
The
like that.
pyrotechnics, man, the flames. There's fire
Insane.
all over the thing. I thought something was going to catch on fire, man.
Yeah.
There was fire going everywhere.
And they had
Gary
these
King
lights.
was really close to the fire, too.
They had these lights that were coming out over the top of like the stadium, and they had like giant pentagrams
gorgeous.
like circling around like the roof. Like
Spotlights.
you could literally
Yeah.
like you'd be watching and then look straight up, and there's like pentagrams
Pentagram
going
right behind
around
you.
you and stuff. It was immaculate. The show was insane.
So good.
The set list they played,
Ideal.
it was the quintessential Slayer playlist. I don't know how you get better.
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, wow, I'm so happy they played that. If they play nothing else I want, I'm happy. The next song was like the next song
Yep.
that I wanted.
Did they play War Ensemble?
Oh yeah.
Yep, they did. That's
Oh
right.
yeah.
Yes.
Because at the beginning of that song, Tom Araya got us to do. He counted 1, 2, 3, and the whole crowd yelled "War,"
Yeah.
and that was a lot of fun.
The Disciple, which I sang along every word of until my voice was completely gone.
Of course, they opened up with the Repentless as they've been doing since
Yeah.
the album came out. They played a lot. World Pain and Blood, Ditto Head. They played Dead Skin Mask,
Got me so pumped.
Into Hell Awaits,
South of Heaven.
South
Angel
of
of Death,
Heaven.
when she did the scream,
Yep.
he did the freaking scream. Tom
Of
Araya
course,
did the scream.
Raining Blood.
Yeah, Raining Blood.
Played Jihad, which was really cool to hear live.
Chemical Warfare.
Chemical Warfare, and then Chemical Warfare went into Angel of Death, which was insane.
Oh man, it just wow.
I can't say enough about his performance. I don't even know what to say about this performance because it was an experience.
Yeah.
It's something you have to experience to really
yeah,
understand how crazy this was.
You haven't lived until you see.
And this
Slayer,
being
man.
Slayer's last tour, they really went out with a bang.
Yeah, they sure did. They sure did.
I've my fifth time seeing them, and I've never seen them like this. It was this
I've seen him with Hanneman.
crazy
and,
experience.
I don't think it'll ever be the same without Hanneman because he was such an integral part of Slayer. But I gotta say, Gary Holt's a great. I don't think it could have been any better with. I don't think they could have got anybody better than Gary Holt. He fits with them so well. Like, He just feels like he feels like he's been there from the beginning.
Paul's drumming.
Amazing. Dave Lombardo is my favorite drummer, but Paul is definitely a force to be reckoned with in his own right. Like, he can play all those drum beats.
When they played Angel of Death,
just
it was
as well
flawless.
As Lombardo can.
The little drum solo double bass part was flawless.
He kind of put his own spin on it too. He didn't do the exact. He didn't do it exactly like.
He did like a little separate
like beat
fill
for beat. It wasn't beat for beat like Lombardo. So.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Gotta respect that.
And
Kerry King had his his shredding, those licks that he does. All the fretwork was just mind blowing.
Gary and Kerry both just like switching sides of the stage the entire time, just running around, going insane. I mean, it was just a phenomenal.
Tom Araya in between banter, like he was talking to the audience. It seemed so like personal, like so ethereal. Like he was just talking to me.
The end felt very emotional because it was their last tour, and they were just thanking us for giving them this long, long storied life and things like that. And it was just really, really, really cool. It was really
heartfelt.
It was really cool to see, and I'm glad I was able to be a part of it.
I was so glad I was there. Yeah, wow. Yeah, gosh, I'm still pumped from it. My neck is still sore from all the headbanging. When they played "Raining Blood," I thought my head was going to come off.
Everybody was losing their minds the entire show. Yeah. The crowd was losing it. It was phenomenal.
I love when all three of them, Kerry King, Gary Holt, and Tom Araya, stand like in a straight line on the stage, and like they're all like their body movement is all like in the same rhythm. It's just in sync with each other, and they're all playing. It just looks so awesome. Yeah. It just looks so cool. It just really gets you pumped. It's really infectious.
I don't really know what else to say beyond it was the greatest live performance I've ever been privy to.
No doubt. And probably ever will see.
Yeah, I don't know
possibly
if anything will ever be able to top not only this show, but just Slayer's performance for that night.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah, it was mind blowing. It was just I'm still freaking out about it. Like, I still just it's all I want to talk about.
I still can't stop thinking about it.
It's like on my mind constantly.
That's never happened for me with a concert before. So
and it wasn't just it wasn't just a show. It was like an experience. Yeah. It was like this was like Woodstock to me.
Yeah, it was. Mind blowing.
Yeah, it was. Wow.
But yeah, guys, that was it. The show was incredible.
There's so much more we could say, but we'd be talking for 5 hours. So.
Yeah, we're already 30 minutes deep.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, guys. As always, I've been Dr. Gutts.
I'm Hellhound.
Keep it metal.
Later.